Fire. Dan's here obviously to answer questions. I think this needs to be addressed by all parties. Here, I think Dan's recommendation here is to not continue this membership within Western Wayne side, that we would still have coverage to the north from Romulus and Allen Park. Dearborn Heights would not provide us coverage to the north because they basically responded to the chief that we were, we're not either in Western Wayne or we're not in Western Wayne, and they don't want to enter into any.
So he's wanting to stop the help from the north.
He wants to vote this down?
Is that what?
Well, right. So Allen Park, Romulus is members, like we are both Western Wayne and Mutual Aid, both paying members. So
I got that.
Support one side,
But
Dearborn Heights is not.
But Dearborn Heights is the one that would not be, that we would be taking out. Okay, the only reason I would have an issue with that is because the north end is very far from our fire station. So if we forego our mutual aid help from the north, that's going to leave us on the north end really strung up.
Well, we still
have it for the west, we have, and we have it in the center. But I'm talking about for expediency, it seems like maybe I'm wrong, that we would be leaving ourselves pretty lame on the north end.
Well, but then there's support. So in this instance, again, it's not, we're making the call for assistance with mutual aid in most cases. We've tried to set in place a dispatch if we got a confirmed fire at that point to make a call out for mutual aid. But in most cases, the battalion chief is the one that's making the request for mutual aid.
So what you're saying to me is, so the north does not come and help us? This group does not help us?
It's not automatic. No, it's not automatic.
But if we need them, and we call them, they come.
yes.
But if we don't have them, and we call them,
Of
they're
course.
not gonna come. We're not gonna call them if we're not paying.
But we have
So we're left off on the north end.
we have two other mutual aid partners that are part of the Downriver Mutual Aid Association, Romulus and
Okay.
Allen Park,
Okay,
which will be able to respond to any incidents in that area.
but Romulus is,
My other thing is this: Dearborn Heights borders us. However, they are not part of they're not part of two agreements because they don't see the need. If I felt that this would put us in any kind of jeopardy or disadvantageous situation, there's no way I would recommend it.
I'll be honest with you, though, I'm just very concerned about this because we've already talked about our other two stations not being open. And I'm not saying you're incorrect. I'm sure you're a better judge at it than me, but I do have to vote on it. But I just have a hard issue with it because we've already tried to fight to get the other stations open. They're not. And now we do away with this, and just one mishap, one time, is more than I would like to hear about. I'll be honest. It's not that I want to spend $9,000 if we don't have to, but.
Can you explain to us, if we opted to stay, what are the benefits? I mean, obviously you've gone through that analysis of laying this out.
If we opted to stay, we would have, mutual aid from Dearborn Heights on as-needed basis. That doesn't mean we would have automatic aid. You've already indicated that they're not going to automatically answer alarms in Taylor. So in essence, we have to get there, confirm it's a problem, and then request their assistance. The other benefit is this. Obviously, their hazmat team is it's a little bit better funded. That's the God's honest truth.
They being Western Wayne.
Western Wayne, yeah. They have a bigger resource base, so their equipment's a little bit nicer, but it does exactly the same thing as Downriver's hazmat team. The other thing that would be giving up is the urban search and rescue team. I'm not sure if you're familiar with, that's about building collapses and trench rescue and that type of thing. One of our mutual aid partners in Downriver has technical rescue capability, and that's the airport. We don't have to beg for assistance. We just have to make a phone call. My concern about entering back into Western Wayne, it's a redundancy that if there were no budget constraints, by all means, yes, I would like to be in both. It's $10,000 to join. It's about $1,500 a month in overtime to maintain our membership. And with the budget constraints that we're in, I just feel that the limited funds of the fire department are better spent in-house.
And Dan, I don't ever want, and don't get me wrong, I don't ever want to supersede you in knowing more than you know. I just look at Beach Daily and Van Born. You go to, right there, it's far from Romulus, far from Allen Park. The only really place that's close to is far from our fire station. So right that center point there, I'm just concerned we're gonna leave a lapse. And maybe we're not.
Well, the reality is Dearborn Heights is, like I said, they are not gonna come here automatically anyhow. We're gonna have to get up there, find out what's going on, and then request additional resources. Dearborn Heights, that city's kind of funny as well. If that station on Telegraph is involved in their own incident, you know, the other one's coming from Michigan and Ford. And,
Ford Road.
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's pretty significant.
So we don't have one that would come, that if you called them, if you knew there was a big fire at Beach Daily and Van Born and you knew we were gonna need help, and you called them, so they may not come from that fire station?
You might call Romulus, right?
No, I'm saying, Dan, you said they may not
If
come
they're
from
not,
that one?
if they have their own incident, they're gonna take care of that first. So it's, you know, their availability is dependent upon their own situation.
So we couldn't be assured that they would be able to help us either?
We could always ask,
Well,
but that doesn't mean they'll
right.
be able to say yes.
Okay, so there's a chance they could. I just keep,
But we would ask Allen Park and.
And
Van Born's far from Beach Daily and Van Born, do you know how far that is?
Romulus too.
Yeah, either one of them are far from there. I don't know if you know that area, but that's a long ride if you're going to a fire. It's not a long ride, you're going to get ice cream. Pardon?
Allen Park's off Roosevelt.
Okay, but it's still more than 2 or 3 minutes.
Well, I'm sure this is,
From Nineveh, we're gonna be there 2-3 minutes.
Well, we
because
could be
they're-
from Ecorse.
We're already on scene.
Ecorse, we could be there in 2-3 minutes.
Well, us being on scene is not an issue. We're talking about us on scene and needing assistance. We're talking about us having this, I mean, this is a scenario where we have 2 incidences and we have to peel one of our engines from another fire, leave 2 units on scene.
So we would already
send
be
someone
there.
else.
We would already be there if any of them help us.
Correct.
So none of the other one, or this one, do not come unless we're there and call them. Is that what you're saying?
Generally, yes.
Okay, so we're not counting on them to be there first.
No.
Unless the scenario was, as I was just describing,
We were
we
busy.
could not peel any of our resources out, but
Right.
we would need mutual aid from another
That's what I
community.
think.
That
We would
automatic
probably be those
response
3.
violates the intent of the mutual aid agreement,
Right.
and Dearborn Heights has already said they're not doing it.
No, I was thinking, Dan, though, if let's say we're out, we've got what we have out for some reason, and there's a fire at that area I said, I was thinking if we call them, they could be there quickly. That was my scenario.
Chief,
That's
if,
what I asked.
can I ask you something?
Sure.
This obviously, you stated what you would prefer here, and what, are you saying that you, besides paying this fee, you also, it costs you about $1,500 a month in overtime for the
Yeah.
training?
We have to provide, it's based on a per capita, so our population requires that we provide 2 members for hazmat and 2 members for urban search and rescue. So 4 people that are potentially on overtime to attend a required training. If we were to not be compliant with that, then we generate a non-participation bill, which could be pretty significant. So once you enter into the agreement, you are committing the resources, whether you want to or not.
And what would you, I mean, obviously, the needs are great, but what, I mean, we just talked about, you know, the trucks, for one thing, but what are you thinking instead of, for this type of money that was typically spent?
In-house training. We need disaster management and planning, and with the thin budget that I'm running on, I need career development, officer training, specialized rescue training. There's a lot of things that I need, and a lot of stuff is mandated by OSHA for yearly refreshers and hazmat refresher and electrical awareness refresher, incident command refreshers. So I really don't have a great deal of training funds at this point. So, you know, I'm just hopeful that instead of sending 4 guys and making them outstanding at hazmat and urban search and rescue to help everybody to the north, I would rather we spend the money in-house and disperse it throughout the department to make sure that we're covered first. I'm hopeful we can cut our own lawn before we worry about theirs.
Okay.
Yes, sir.